Florida Gulf Coast controlling the opening tip.
The question for NC State is how will they come out after a difficult overtime loss to North Carolina Central. Coach Godfrey's hoping they come out with a physicality and playing very, very hard.
NC State hasn't played in 6 days since then. Feeler with the first shot of the game, banks it off the glass, and the Eagles score on their opening possession.
And we're seeing Jordan Vandenberg for the first time in the lineup for NC State, Sam. He could really protect the rim for them, which they haven't had the first 4 games of the season.
Vandenberg 14 in white for North Carolina State, a 7-footer from Australia, as you mentioned, it has not been able to participate.
Turned an ankle in one of their exhibition games, and it's kept him out of play thus far this season.
Cap Barber with the ball, he's getting the start tonight. One of the freshmen for the Wolfpack. Shot clock under 10. Barber will take the jumper, and it's good.
And that's one of the things that Cat Barber can do. He's a good short clock scorer. How about this freshman? Broke all of Allen Iverson's scoring records at Hampton High School. So we know he can score the basketball.
McDonald's All-American. Down low into Hicks again. And a nice rebound by Warren. Pushes it ahead to Lee. And Warren loses it under the basket, but it's going to stay with North Carolina State.
And NC State got away a little bit with not boxing out on this end. You better put a body on Chase Feeler. He's a high-flying offensive rebound guy for Florida Gulf Coast.
Lee threw it in and then caught it with his foot out of bounds, so that turns it over. That's one thing NC State has not done much of this year, turn the ball over. They've done a pretty good job of taking care of it, despite their youth and inexperience. This was a game Mark Godfrey was saying he put on the schedule because it was one of those that could test them early in the season, one that they could lose against a very experienced Florida Gulf Coast team.
And a team that knows how to win, Sam. As we know, they were the Cinderellas in the NCAA tournament last year.
First 15 seed to make the Sweet 16. Jones on the way, and Vandenberg thought he had a block, but he gets called for the foul instead, got a piece of the body.
And one of the problems that we're going to see it right here for NC State is getting beat off of the dribble. You have to make sure when the ball screen occurs that you force the offensive player off of the ball screen.
Jamel Jones, transfer from Marquette. Redshirt junior from Atlanta.
And Sam, the other thing with Jamel Jones is if you look at the scouting report, he is a right-handed driver. His strength and speed is in his right hand. You want to push him to his left.
Here's his 16th free throw of the season, and it's good. He's made 10 of them. And Florida Gulf Coast up by 2. Played just over 2 minutes here in Raleigh. Barber with the drive. He is lightning quick. Warren will put it up. Too strong. Vandenberg with the offensive rebound. And on his second attempt, third attempt, finally gets it to go in. That's not fair.
Well, that's what they have been missing. Fifth-year senior with a very young basketball team. They need him on the floor.
We're tied at 4. Jones forces it up and in. Nice down low move by Jones.
And again, Jamel Jones drives right.
Well, Coach, that's got to be on the scouting report.
It absolutely is. You got to understand, give him a little more space. He's not a great three-point shooter. He's only shooting 29% for the year.
Barber misses the jumper, and we had a whistle. Offensive foul underneath on Warren, pushing off to try to get position for that rebound. So the Eagles will get the ball back as Warren heads over to the bench. And Warren is going to be replaced in the lineup by number 22, Ralston Turner, who has been starting this year. They go about 9 deep on North Carolina State's roster, and we should see all 9 interchangeable parts.
And one of the reasons he's bringing Ralston Turner off the bench, he's been in foul trouble in 3 of their 4 games. So let him sit, watch the game, get a feel for it.
Comer steps into that 3 off the mark. And Brian Kersey blows his whistle from midcourt and calls the foul on Feeler. Joe Dooley in his first season after sitting next to Bill Self on the Kansas bench for several years.
They did pretty good. Two Final Fours, national championship, 9 straight Big 12 titles.
That's tough to walk away from.
But you know what, Sam? He has done everything that he could have done at Kansas as an assistant. He was a very good head coach at East Carolina.
Good steal down low in transition. Here's Florida Gulf Coast. And a foul called into the game. Zvedichinen, Croatian, is fouled by Lee.
And you saw NC State close out hard on Zvedichinen, and because he's a 3-point shooter. And one of the things that NC State was in trouble with the other night against North Carolina Central, they have to guard without fouling. NC Central goes 41 for 45 from the free throw line.
Baseline jumper, no good. And here come the Wolfpack. Barber tried to force that into Vandenberg. Got a little frustrated when the big man didn't take it. Thompson. And Vandenberg rips down the board, and a left-handed baseball pass almost picked off. Lee. Desmond Lee with his first bucket. And the Wolfpack have tied. And an offensive foul on Comer as he turned the corner.
How about the outlet pass from the big fella? And this is what Lee does well. Takes it to the rim, can finish in traffic.
And a very Wolfpack happy Thanksgiving to you from here inside the PNC Arena. We're tied at 6. NC State's been off for 6 days, Dino, after a loss to North Carolina Central. So what was Coach Godfrey looking for from the Wolfpack tonight, especially being off that long?
Well, from a coaching perspective after a loss, you just got to channel all your attention and energy to today. Let's get better today in practice. And if those things happen, everything will take care of itself. And when you have a young team, Sam, like they do, 6 freshmen, 3 sophomores, you can't have the young guys around negative people. And Mark said his locker room's been really positive and upbeat, and that's huge with a young basketball team.
Yeah, Godfrey very positive and upbeat himself. We're tied at 6. This has not been the track meet we thought, though, here in the opening 5 minutes of play.
More of a half-court game, and you think with the size of NC State, that's what it is.
Desmond Lee forces it up and in. His second bucket, and NC State has the lead.
Now with DeJuan Graff in the lineup, 35 for Florida Gulf Coast. Brett Comer actually moves to the 2 guard.
Hicks backing in on Vandenberg. Comer. Good entry pass off the front of the rim, though. Here come the Wolfpack. Good rebound inside by Freeman.
Nate Hicks, sometimes you got to absorb the contact. You just can't fade away inside.
And how about that shot? A couple of creative shots from Lee tonight. He's the hot man for the Wolfpack. He's got 6 points.
And twice we've seen Desmond Lee use the backboard.
Good steal by Turner, and then stolen back by Comer. Comer takes it in himself, and the rebound pulled down by the Wolfpack's Freeman.
If you're Joe Dooley, you're happy with their latter 2 shots. Two shot attempts right at the basket by Hicks, and the youngster taking the ball, Comer, to the basket.
Florida Gulf Coast has won its last 4 games. Barber to the rim, off the mark, and Vandenberg misses the follow, but a foul in the process. Foul was on Hicks, his first, and the 3rd team foul on Florida Gulf Coast, so Vandenberg's going to go to the line. Let's see it.
What you have is Cat Barber on penetration, draws Hicks up the lane to help, which creates the avenue for Vandenberg to get to the offensive glass.
Again, Vandenberg had a grade 3 left high ankle sprain in the first exhibition game, so he hasn't been able to play until now. Knocks down that free throw to give the Wolfpack a 5-point lead. He's from Australia, from Melbourne, where they play the Australian Open Tennis Grand Slam.
So Chase Feeler and Bernard Thompson both on the bench for Florida Gulf Coast.
Graf almost had it stolen. 3 on the way, and it is nothing but net by Jamel Jones. And now a steal on the other end. Graf back to Jones. Here's another 3. And Wolfpack very fortunate that didn't go in.
Jamel Jones comes in, not a strong 3-point shooter, only 29%. Both shots look good, Sam. The first one obviously all net. The other one, good form, in rhythm.
Nobody blocking out the Wolfpack. And finally Jones grabs it, and then he's tied up by Freeman. Washington coming in for North Carolina State. The Wolfpack's 5-point lead has been reduced to 2 with 12:46 left in the half. Florida Gulf Coast can hurt you in a hurry. And Blake coming in for Florida Gulf Coast as well. Barber misses, but the offensive rebounds have been controlled by North Carolina State. Warren gets that rebound and bucket.
7 offensive rebounds early for NC State.
Yeah, they're dominating the boards. Comer throws it off Vandenberg's foot.
They said he stepped on the line, I believe so.
Let's see.
TJ Warren, you have to make sure if you're Florida Gulf Coast that you're driving guys out of the lane on those box outs.
You're exactly right. He was on the line as he drove baseline before it hit Vandenberg's foot. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, his left foot clearly on the line.
Good call there by Raymond Steins. And Tyler Lewis now in the Wolfpack lineup. You see they're waiting on this pass. Number 12, he is typically the starter for the Wolfpack at the point guard position. Barber got the nod tonight. Here's Washington, who's in for the first time, and immediately makes his presence known. Well, that's nice.
I'm not sure Coach Gottfried wanted that from the big fella right off the bench, but
he's only shooting 22%, but that'll give him some confidence. Pack up by 6. Nice pass to Blake. Florida Gulf Coast whipping it around, and a travel by Blake. So timeout on the floor. NC State in control at home right now, leading the dangerous Florida Gulf Coast Eagles by 6. Well, the Wolfpack on an 11-3 run, and it's mostly because of rebounding.
It really is, and if you're Joe Dooley, you're upset with that. You got to create the car crash when you're on defense. Don't just run into the lane on a shot. Run to the offensive player and take him out. They're missing cutouts. They're not going for the basketball with two hands. And as you see, Sam, NC State, a lot of the point productivity off of second shot opportunities.
Wolfpack dominating the boards, and Vandenberg there in the middle of your picture. So nice to have him back in the lineup at 7-1. And you see the Wolfpack with 6 second chance points to none for Florida Gulf Coast. Florida Gulf Coast misses, the Wolfpacks are cleaning it away.
And with Chase Feely on the bench with 2 fouls, he's one of their better rebounders. It really hurts Florida Gulf Coast.
5 rebounds for Vandenberg in his return to the state lineup. And Vandenberg will inbound it. A graph showing a full court man-to-man on Lewis. Florida Gulf Coast just 3 of 10 shooting as well. NC State's opened up a 6-point lead here in the opening half.
Wonderful pass.
Turner misses. And the Eagles going to get it back. That was a good pass.
Excellent pass from Jordan Vanderberg to Turner.
Look at Jones as he comes back in the lineup for the Eagles.
Vandenberg's from the Australian Institute of Sport that helped develop Andrew Bogut, Luke Longley, Patty Mills.
Thompson couldn't hang on to that pass. A little too hot, and that's a turnover for Florida Gulf Coast. And Vandenberg getting a nice hand. And he's got a good return to the lineup after sitting out with that ankle sprain. And a foul in the backcourt on Graff. It didn't mean to do it, but knocked him down.
You have to be careful with Tyler Lewis. You look at him, he doesn't pass the eye test.
Yeah.
And since the guy was in the 8th grade, teams have been trying to get into him. But if he goes by you, which he's capable of doing, he has great vision. He'll make the right pass.
He's from Statesville, North Carolina, which is close to Winston-Salem. Lewis going to back it out. Shot clock approaching 10. Good fake. And shot up, missed by Warren. Gets the rebound, and the follow missed again. Jones pulls it down for the Eagles.
2 good looks for TJ Warren.
Three on the way, no good. Turner with a rebound, and the Wolfpack continue to dominate the boards.
Good decision by Tyler Lewis. The break wasn't there. 5 defenders for Gulf Coast back. Let's pull it out and run good half-court offense.
Freeman forces it to Washington. And wow, almost 2 for 2.
The UCLA offense, Washington is supposed to duck in when that pass goes to the elbow.
Hicks. Offensive rebound for Hicks. And a foul on Lewis as he goes for the steal.
I think it was a good call by Raymond Stein. Good anticipation by Lewis, but you have to, it's imperative to get your hands out of your defense this year, Sam, with the new rules.
Will you take that foul, or is that one that...
Nah, I'm not taking that one out on the floor 25 feet.
That's the 4th team foul on the Wolfpack to match Florida Gulf Coast. 15-9, NC State in front by 6-9, 20 left in the half. Only 8 personal fouls between the 2 teams. Pretty clean half. Comer driving and buries it. Comer's been the leading scorer for the last 3 games for Florida Gulf Coast. Just getting off the mark here. Nice pass down low. And Hicks went for the block but got the foul. But he saved a layup.
A transition defense problem for Florida Gulf Coast. When you're converting the defense, especially against a team like NC State, make sure you're talking, pointing, who do you have?
Freeman will go to the free throw line from Washington, D.C.
where he has really struggled.
That was just his 2nd made free throw out of 10 attempts this year.
1 for 9 coming in.
He is very much a youngster. He's only 17. He won't turn 18 until next month.
There you go, young fella. 1 for 9 coming in, 2 for 2 tonight.
He actually got pretty hot during the shoot-around today. I'm glad to see him take that onto the game court. 17-11. Wolfpack with a 6-point lead again. Comer driving, and Lewis gets called for the foul, his 2nd.
Initially, really good ball screen defense, and then Tyler Lewis. I thought it was pretty good defense, Sam. His hands weren't into play.
So did Lewis. Comer, the Atlantic Sun Tournament MVP last year in the championship, scored 21 points. Of course, Florida Gulf Coast then went on to the Sweet 16 as the number 15 seed, and this was one of their leaders.
When Andy Enfield left for Southern Cal, Brett Comer was ready to transfer and go with him. But Brett Comer, 7th grade through 10th grade, lived in Kansas, would go to Kansas's elite camp. So when he found that Joe Dooley got the job, he decided, hey, it's been good for me. I'm going to stay here. He knew Joe from his years at Kansas and going to the Kansas basketball camp.
That's a good story. Oh, nice move down low, the reverse by Warren.
When TJ does most of his work at the rim, he is really, really a good offensive player.
Thompson can't handle that pass, and let's go back and see that acrobatic move.
The defense overextends, he beats the help. Good players beat their man. The great players, like TJ Warren was right there, beat the man, and then they beat the help side defender. A very good finish on the other side of the rim for TJ Warren.
What does TJ Warren need to bring to the Wolfpack this year, Dino? I mean, is his role stepped up this year?
No question, and without a doubt, it has to be leadership. Like, you know, I coached Chris Paul, was fortunate to be a part of what he was at Wake Forest, and Chris Paul reiterates what Doc Rivers is saying in LA right now. That's what you want your best players to do. Garnett, Paul Pierce did that for Doc when they were in Boston. That's what TJ Warren needs to do for Mark Gottfried. He needs to be the voice, the positive voice in that locker room with a young team and the lone returning starter from last year.
Good start by the Wolfpack overall. Barber lost it and gave it up. Didn't try to save it. Graff with the layup. So a turnover and a bucket scored off that turnover. Not good for NC State.
Wasn't a great pass, but Cat Barber has to try to catch the ball with 2 hands. We should tell guys, catch it with your eyes. See the ball go into your hands.
Washington gives it back to Barber. Down low, Warren off the glass.
Wonderful flash from the weak side for Warren. The defender has to cut him off that a little bit. Can't just let him come right across the lane to the basketball.
Warren's 20 pounds lighter this year too. Much better shape, and there's a foul on Barber. I don't know if he got pushed into Graff, but he definitely made contact. So Florida Gulf Coast hanging in there with North Carolina State. Scrappy defense leading to a turnover and a layup, and the Eagles are within 7 of the Wolfpack. Wolfpack up by 7, 6 points here in this opening set by TJ Warren.
And he's done it in a lot of different ways. He's cleaning up misses on the offensive glass. And offensive rebounding is just an effort area. That's all that is. Good flash from the weak side. Takes the ball to the other side of the rim, uses the rim as a protector, finishes with his offhand. And again, you're seeing Florida Gulf Coast without Feeler in there having a hard time guarding TJ Warren.
Yeah, Feeler on the bench with 2 fouls for Florida Gulf Coast. There's Warren's numbers tonight, 5 rebounds to go along with those 6 points. Wolfpack dominating the board 16-5 and 8-1 edge on the offensive glass. Comer to inbound for the Eagles. Blake misses, gets his own rebound, and blocked from behind by Warren. Tapped out by Vandenberg. Here comes the Wolfpack. Barber.
Nice
Good pass. And that's how you finish. Vandenberg.
And NC State is so good in transition because as we're seeing, everybody runs the floor. They have good spacing, and even the big fella ran the floor.
Three-pointer up and good from the Croatians, Vadichinen.
And that's what he does, 52% from behind a three-point line.
From Zagreb, Croatia. And it's a 6-point lead now for North Carolina State. Good cut, backdoor cut, Vandenberg to Lee. Boy, Vandenberg, I know Lee got the basket, but he's doing a lot right tonight, you know.
He has been incredibly impactful.
Assists, rebounds, shots.
Passing the basketball, defending, rebounding.
Lee takes the long pass, misses the shot. Warren muscles it up and in. And a timeout taken by Florida Gulf Coast as the Wolfpack starting to distance themselves with their largest lead of the half.
And if you're Joe Dooley, you're upset with because you're giving up second shot opportunities. You're not sprinting back in transition. And we know this team runs Florida Gulf Coast. They have to make sure they're converting to the other end of the floor defensively as well. But NC State, a lot of energy, came out with a lot of emotion and a big lift from the fifth-year senior.
Here's that last play that Vandenberg got the dunk off the assist from Barber. And then there's the assist from Vandenberg to Lee. Now Vandenberg, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 points. And NC State up by 10 with 5:49 left in the half.
It's not just speed when you're running the break. It's just a willingness to run every time down the floor. And so far, Vandenberg has done that.
Florida Gulf Coast, the favorites in the Atlantic Sun this year. Turnover by Comer.
A lot of those turnovers are just unforced errors.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like NC State is so into the basketball and pressuring passing lanes.
6 turnovers for each team. Alley-oop attempt, no. Comer thinks wisely there with Vandenberg in front of him. Comer for 3. And Vandenberg with a rebound. Barber will take it in himself. And the Pack now up 12.
Florida Gulf Coast needs to corral him, build a wall around the foul line when Anthony Barber is in transition.
Jones. And another rebound for Vandenberg. Warren takes the outlet pass and then loses it off of his thigh. And Comer is saying, I didn't touch it. And I'm not sure if he did.
I think it did go off of TJ Warren's knee.
Yeah. But a break for the Wolfpack as Comer will head over to the bench.
Now, Joe Dooley's a little concerned that maybe it's getting away from him, so he brings Feeler back in the game with 4:30 to go with 2 fouls.
Feeler, number 20 down there guarding Vandenberg. Got to be careful because Vandenberg's been getting a lot of those passes.
And if I'm NC State, I'm trying to go right inside to him.
Warren, little off-balance jumper. He made that look easy. Here's Feeler, forcing his way through the lane, and Vandenberg stops it. Barber backing it out. NC State's been running pretty hard. 14-point Wolfpack lead. Warren loses it on the way up, and I hope this is not on Feeler if you're Florida Gulf Coast, but it is. So the risk doesn't pay off. Feeler gets his 3rd foul, and the Wolfpack up big by 14. Wolfpack up big here. 3:38 left in the opening half. Good times for the Wolfpack fans to see this man again involved with the program. Derek Wittenberg, of course, who was a huge part of Jim Valvano's 1983 National Championship team and one of the more popular players in Wolfpack history. Back as Director of Player Development, which basically is serving as a mentor role within the program to these young men.
Our former colleague, Derek, was with us in studio many times and calling games. And how about the piece, the 30-30 piece that he did? Derek produced the show. It was unbelievable on the Jim Valvano and the NC State story.
I cried like a baby in the Los Angeles Airport Lounge.
I'm in my living room shedding tears.
I watched it on the road, and if you haven't seen that 30 for 30 on that 1983 National Championship team, you got to check that out. Warren makes the first free throw. He's had good numbers tonight. Makes the second. Such a unique piece in that they got all those guys back together to discuss that season. And there were some people on that team that have gone on to great things. Terry Gannon, of course, part of that National Championship team, who's also here with ESPN at ABC. Graff denied by the Wolfpack defense, and Lee will push it up. Lee splits the double team off balance, no good.
Every team makes mistakes defensively, and sometimes it comes down to who has the biggest eraser. And right now, at the 7'1", Jordan Vandenberg is a pretty big eraser.
He is. It's a good way to put it, an eraser.
He corrects a lot of your errors defensively.
Under 3 to play in the first half. Thompson misses. Kavicinen chases it down.
And I like what Joe Dooley did on offense. He had Vandenberg's guy set a ball screen to try to draw Vandenberg out on the floor.
Boy, Kavicinen, he doesn't miss, does he? That's his second three-pointer. I don't even know if he saw the rim.
21 of his 28 shots coming in have been threes, so you know he can shoot it.
Brings Florida Gulf Coast back to within 13. They need some threes. As the Wolfpack have been able to pull away here in the latter part of this first half. Shot clock at 10 as Barber goes to work. And finishes. Hicks got a little piece of it, but it just knocked it in the goal.
You have to keep Pat Barber on the perimeter. His strength is driving the basketball. Make him a jump shooter.
Barber with 6 points. Hicks backing in on Vandenberg. Shoots over him, and an air ball for the former Yellow Jacket of Georgia Tech. Lee.
Foul Vandenberg.
Vandenberg with the foul, as you said. But what's striking me, Dino, is that NC State seems to be doing about whatever they want to do right now offensively.
They really are, and it's all off of their defense. And Vandenberg, a wonderful job of protecting the rim. He didn't block the last shot, but without a doubt, he altered it.
Yeah.
And that's triggering their break. That's how they're getting out on in transition.
Hicks is going to be at the free throw line after that foul on Vandenberg again. Hicks, a transfer from Georgia Tech. Had some health problems there. And he's hearing an earful for that air ball.
Not real strong, young man, yeah. He just has to get strong. He's very early in his development, as we see at the line, a wonderful stroke. It just has to spend some time in the weight room, picking up some good weight.
He's a smart guy. He was all ACC academic team when he was at Georgia Tech. Of course, that's a very challenging school. And a lane violation on NC State's going to give Hicks another chance to make this second free throw.
And Joe Dooley's also without two of his better players tonight. Eric McKnight on a 6-game suspension, hoping he comes back.
He's from Raleigh, actually.
After tonight. And Logan Holby, a freshman, 6'8", small forward, similar to Feeler. Because right now, Joe Dooley only has 6 or 7 guys. When those 2 guys return, Holby's coming off of stress fracture. He had surgery last Thursday. They're hoping to get him back in early January for League play.
Warren glides across the lane to make that pass. Here's Barber. Penetration's been there all night for NC State, and Barber draws the foul on the way to the basket. Blake gets called for it with his best James Harden impression.
And you're seeing coaches coach so much this year about, because of the new rules, Sam, driving the ball to the basket. Make guys put their hands on you. Let's get to the free throw line.
First trip for Barber to the line tonight. He's got 6 points. Make it 7. He's rated as high as the number 9 recruit nationally last year.
This is his 27th free throw attempt and what is early in his 5th game. The young guy puts a lot of foul pressure on you because of his ability to penetrate.
15-point NC State lead as we play the final minute, getting close to it here in the first half. Thompson on the drive, easy bucket, no defense in his way.
The big fella sitting on the bench, that's why. You can get to the rim on NC State with Vandenberg sitting there.
Vandenberg resting right now. A couple of fouls. Under a minute to play in the opening half. 13-point NC State lead as they try to end it a little more than that. Barber gets tripped up. Freeman to Washington. Look at the shot clock. Washington forces it up. No good. Offensive rebound and the stick back by Warren. On the other end, Blake has it swatted away by Freeman. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's going to stay with Florida Gulf Coast, as one of the officials didn't see that. The other, Brian Kersey, was right on it to say, no, it was knocked out of bounds. And Mark Gottfried, I'm sure, telling him good call.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Now, Florida Gulf Coast wants to take this with maybe 6 or 5 on the game clock, shot clock off, so they have an opportunity at a second shot.
Wide open is Graff to win the half. No, he misses. In the opening half, they only made 3 of their last 14 shots. Let's see how the Eagles respond here at the start of the second half. Shot up by Thompson, good. So that's a good start.
And you like what Florida Gulf Coast did on offense. They took the ball from one side of the floor to the other. 4 or 5 pass possessions, which led to a very good shot.
NC State, Dino, after a half like that, what are you focusing on here in the second half?
Well, they just have to play like they did with the same energy and emotion they did in the first half. Because as we know, Florida Gulf Coast is a very good basketball team.
Shot clock under 10 and a 3-second violation, I believe. Called by Raymond Steins. Is Coach Gottfried not happy with that?
Well, Bernard Thompson has already made his presence felt early. He's hit the basket. He was the Atlantic Sun Defensive Player of the Year last year, and a very good defensive possession out of him for Florida Gulf Coast.
Comer takes it out of traffic. Here's Thompson again. Misses this jumper. Warren gets the rebound over Hicks. State looking for its first basket of the half. Barber off the screen, out to Warren. He'll shoot the 3, and that is good.
And TJ Warren needs to point to his buddy Anthony Barber, who set him up for that one.
46% three-point shooter this year, Warren. 6'8". Feeler playing with 3 fouls. Nice post move. A good start for the Eagles, but they've got a lot of ground to catch. Make up, I should say.
Good shots from the Eagles on all 3 of those possessions, despite 1 miss.
Freeman working on Feeler. Can't draw the foul, and Feeler loses it out of bounds.
knowing that Feeler has 3 fouls, Sam, Leonard Freeman really has to take the ball to his chin.
Yeah.
Go straight up, take the ball at him, try to draw that 4th foul.
Nice move by Barber, and there's the first Wolfpack basket.
The freshman is really quick.
Barber got screened, but Comer ran into those twin towers underneath. Warren off the assist from Freeman. And a timeout by Florida Gulf Coast. NC State
I'm sorry, Sam.
with another athletic play.
And one of the reasons NC State runs so well is they are wide in the lanes, they run hard, and have great spacing on the break.
NC State trying to run away with this, looking good here in the second half. And this is supposed to be a down year for the Wolfpack, but look at what they're doing so far here early.
Well, last season they were 2 seasons ago 2nd in the ACC field goal percentage offense, 3rd in scoring. Last year, they're first in the league in scoring, 1st in the league in field goal percentage. But remember, Lorenzo Brown, Richard Howe, C.J. Leslie, and Scott Wood are no longer here.
Where do you think this Wolfpack team fits into the ACC?
I think this is a middle-of-the-pack team, and they're a very young team, and Coach Godfrey knows that. 6 freshmen, 3 sophomores. The only senior is Vandenberg, who's been very impressive tonight. But with Vandenberg out there, they could do some damage in this league if he stays healthy.
State's been to the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. There's a steal by Warren. And NC State just firing on all cylinders tonight. Very few weaknesses after 6 days off following the overtime loss to Central last week. Warren down low, good.
His 8th straight field goal without a miss.
Wow. Yeah, Warren with 21 points. Thompson fakes, he'll drive, shoots it over Vandenberg and scores. Oh! You gotta love that Barber to Vandenberg combination. And that prompts a timeout from the Eagles. Happy times here in PNC Arena right now as this puts the Wolfpack up by 20.
And the big guy, we know he's not lightning quick. He is just running harder than the Eagle post players. You know, Sam, when the Celtics had Bird and McHale and Parrish, that might have been the slowest front court in basketball, but they were very good fast break team in transition because they ran the floor hard. I don't think Jordan Vandenberg's winning many 100-yard sprints. But you know what?
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't. He runs hard every time. He runs head on the rim, and a marvelous pass from Cat Barber.
I tell you, that's something we may see on SportsCenter. That was an incredible highlight. I know NC State's going to use it. Feeler, he'll drive against Vandenberg. Nothing there. Again, the intimidating presence of Vandenberg. Warren open for three. Freeman bats it around, and it goes into the hands of Feeler.
Feeler has a wonderful skill set. When he was a freshman in high school, he's one of those guys that was 5'10", that was a point guard, had a very good skill set, and then sophomore, junior year sprouted up to where he has the 6'8" size, but still has those guard skills.
A lot of skills being displayed by the Wolfpack tonight as they're up by 20. NC State up 50-30 with 15:47 left to play here in Raleigh, and NC State having to make up for some significant losses from last year. You see what they have lost, you know.
Well, Lorenzo Brown, the point guard, Richard Howell, a staple inside for them. C.J. Leslie, one of the most talented guys in the league last year, and of course Scott Wood at 6'6", a wonderful, wonderful deep shooter. And you know what you call it, Sam, when you lose all those guys? It's called rebuilding.
Yep.
And that's where Mark is with the six freshmen, and but he likes his team.
I like him too, especially tonight. I mean, these freshmen are really looking good, especially the one defending right now, Barber.
Coach Godfrey said he is one of the best young on-ball defenders he has ever coached. He can
What makes you good at an on-ball defender?
Well, I think you have to have lateral quickness. You have to have a good, strong core so you can keep guys in front of you. And then you have to anticipate. I think those are three big things. Quick lateral movement, strong strength, and then the ability to anticipate where the ball's going to go on the dribble, whether they're crossing over. He has all of those qualities.
That foul's on Desmond Lee. That's his third. He's going to leave the game and will be replaced in the Wolfpack lineup by Ralston Turner. Beechinen off the mark. Vandenberg with a rebound.
And I like what Joe Dooley did. Again, they're trying to run ball screen action to get Vandenberg out on the floor.
Turner misses the three, and Vandenberg is over the back.
Quick shot by Ralston Turner, Sam. You know, he only has one attempt thus far this game. Yeah, you're not happy with that. You're not happy with that foul.
And Vandenberg's going to head over to the bench. He wasn't happy with it either.
If you're going to the offensive glass, spin off guys' body, fake one way, go to the other. You just can't climb a defender's back.
Graff weaves his way to the basket, draws the foul, no basket. He's going to get 2 free throws. Fouls on Turner, so a lot of fouls being called here in this second half.
And as you're seeing, without the shot blocker in there, the first shot at the basket, which is the foul, the tip in, of course, was after the foul, but without Vandenberg in there, Florida Gulf Coast has opportunities to score at the rim.
Graff at the free throw line from here in North Carolina. He's from Charlotte. Had his first start in his last game. Didn't start tonight, though, but brings Florida Gulf Coast to within 18. Washington. And misses the short shot, but it is cleaned up nicely by Ralston Turner.
Turner brings a lot of experience to this basketball team. Started 57 games at LSU before transferring in.
Here he is with a steal. Up to Barber, touch pass to Warren, and the finish. And one.
Again, out in transition, running lanes wide, and a very unselfish play by Anthony Barber, the freshman.
So Warren performing well for Mark Godfrey tonight. 23 points. He's 10 of 15 from the floor. 9 rebounds as well, and could go to 24 points with a made free throw here.
I mean, he is shooting lights out tonight.
Yeah.
I just think the only other thing TJ needs to do a little better is have to see things through a wider lens. Right now, and I'd be doing it myself, he just sees the bucket. When you're shooting like he is tonight, that's all you need to see, though.
Feeler gets loose on the baseline. He got fouled first. And another foul on the Wolfpack. That's a foul on Washington, and the 15 foul against NC State here in the second half. Only 1 foul called on Florida Gulf Coast to this point in the second half. Graff loses it. Picked up by Washington. Warren. And another timeout taken by Florida Gulf Coast.
Turning the ball over hurts you. It kills you when you turn it over against quick, athletic teams.
The Wolfpack just all over Florida Gulf Coast defensively tonight.
DeJuan Graff has to understand what his abilities are. A little bit difficult for him to try to split the defenders with the ball screen right there. Right now, what Gulf Coast needs is ball security, getting a good shot down the floor every possession. Those turnovers are just leading the runouts by NC State.
9 turnovers on Florida Gulf Coast. And NC State has scored 9 points off those 9 turnovers. That's a pretty good way to go into Thanksgiving for NC State. We talked about this would be a game of transition in the opening, Dino.
Absolutely, and right now the transition game is all NC State. They run wide in the alleys. They all have their head up. Wonderful pass to Vandenberg. The big guys involved in their transition game. This was one of the best running teams in all of America last year, and we saw what they lost. But that philosophy that Mark Gottfried has brought with him to the latter 2 years, win 48 games, go to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, a Sweet 16. This team is very good in the open court.
Florida Gulf Coast, the Wolfpack opponent tonight. They'll play Eastern Kentucky this weekend right here on Saturday. And another turnover. This is a nice stretch of home games for NC State. Northwestern, Long Beach State, and Detroit all at home before they go on the road at Tennessee in the middle of December.
The Eagles are turning the basketball over, and maybe Coach Dooley, unless he's injured, sending a little message to Brett Comer because he hasn't been out there.
Yeah. What would that message be?
Well, I think he was disappointed with his transition. As a point guard or the two guard, you have to have balance for your team defensively.
Washington with the short lefty jumper. Baby hook. Hicks backing in on Washington, kicks it out.
That's where Hicks needs strength in his game. Nothing's more important in post play than post depth. You got to get deep into the lane. Hicks allows guys to push him off the block.
That was Thompson with the bucket for the Eagles. He's got 8 points. He leads Florida Gulf Coast in scoring. Washington down low to Freeman, swatted away. But a break for the Wolfpack there.
Poor spacing on the pass, Sam. Those guys were too close together.
Lewis. And here's the 3. And foul on Washington from behind. Again, there's one of those fouls that you're shaking your head.
The same foul that Vandenberg committed that sent him to the bench.
And Washington doesn't go to the bench, but Warren goes to the bench. He's got 26 points and 9 rebounds. As he's going to get a breather. 12:22 left to play. His career highs are 31 points and 13 rebounds, so he's getting close to both. Wide open is Feeler, and he draws the foul and finishes. So Chase Feeler.
See, on the pick and roll, it takes 5 guys to guard the ball screen. Like Washington has to rotate over, meet Feeler on the roll before he gets to the lane line. Then he's in position to defend that play.
Feeler with a 3-point play for Florida Gulf Coast, and he's up to 7 points. Lewis, the runner, Hicks for the rebound. Thompson quickly up the floor to Jones. Jones doesn't draw a foul and misses the layup. Lee ahead to Turner.
They have been outstanding in the open court. They really have. And what you saw in the defensive possession by the Wolfpack when Tyler Lewis penetrated, Ralston Turner was back for balance defensively, which Florida Gulf Coast is struggling with a little bit this evening.
16 fast break points for NC State of their 61. I thought it might even be higher. Thompson blocking foul on the Wolfpack there as players get peeled off the court, and the foul's on Turner. So NC State still looking strong, up 61-37 with just over 11 to play. Florida Gulf Coast struggling tonight against NC State, but in all honesty, Coach Gaudio, they're a little shorthanded.
They are. The 6'9" sophomore Eric McKnight serving the last game of what is a 6-game suspension. This young fellow was newcomer of the week 3 times last year. Had 47 blocks, shot 60% from the field. They'll get him back for their next game. And then the freshman Logan Halvey, 6'6" freshman, small forward, very similar to Chase Feeler, but had surgery last Thursday. They'll get him back in January. So when those 2 guys come back, and Joe Dooley's had a marvelous recruiting class as well that we'll talk about. Zach Johnson at 6'2", coming in from Miami. Kristen Terrell, a very good 6'4" wing. And he's got a couple other guys. Eric Moeller, the 6'11" guy. But he has 3 guys sitting out. Eddie Norella from Tulane, Brian Green from Auburn, and Julian DeBose from Rice that'll impact this program next year. So Joe Dooley has his program continuing in the right direction.
Thompson makes the free throw, but what can you get out of this game specifically, Dino, if you're Florida Gulf Coast?
Well, right now, Joe Dooley's trying to get his guys to get to where they're within shouting distance, if you will. Try to get this thing within 15 or 12. Let's see what we're made of a little bit. Show a little bit of toughness and mettle here as we're going down the stretch.
Lewis double team, gets out of it with a pass to Washington, and nice feed underneath, and the slam dunk by B.J. Anya, who has snuck into the lineup. He's not easy to sneak in anywhere. Big boy.
7'9" wingspan, the largest measured by NBA Draft Express ever. NBA guys, college guys, ever.
Graf, and bounces around and in. Who are some of the other all-time wingspans you can think of? I remember Sam Perkins back in the day, and guys like that.
Sam Perkins.
Just their hands are down to their knees.
The big fella from Virginia, Ralph Sampson.
Yeah. That's some pretty elite company to be the best.
How about our guy Manute Bol? That had to be up there, right?
You'd think.
Former Washington Bullet.
Sure. Turner, good pass inside, and Anya with another highlight play.
The dribble penetration is just killing Florida Gulf Coast. Penetration, the big guys lift to help, and the guards are dumping it down to the open post.
All right, Wolfpack is running away with this. Lee has it blocked. Good block by Thompson. Kavitskin. And Lee this time draws a foul in the track meet.
See, Sam, on transition defense, we would tell our guards, I don't care if it was Chris Paul or Jeff Teague or Ish Smith, on the lift of the shot, like when our guy, he hasn't let it go yet, on the lift of the shot, start getting your tail back to midcourt. We have to have 2 guys back at least for balance. Sometimes those guards wait until the ball hits the rim, and then all of a sudden, hey, we don't have it, I got to get back.
Lee misses the free throw. So when the opposing player has jumped, that's when you want your guards
when
back.
Our guy, we're talking about, we're on offense.
Okay, you're on offense.
So Zavidichinen takes the shot. Before it even leaves his hand on this left wing, our 2 guards got to start getting back. If the ball's still in his hand, but you know he's going into his shot. No sense hanging around the top of the key. And we see Brett Comer reinserted into the game. Let's see how he impacts the Eagles moving forward here.
He's been on the bench for a while, as you pointed out. Thompson has it blocked by Anya. Anya can't get another one, but he affects that shot. Here we go. Anya with 6 quick points off the bench. And Thompson there with a nice little nifty steal from Washington in the basket. Didn't see it coming.
The NC State guards have been living in the lane all evening long.
Oh, Anya's got to love this. Washington, yes.
Everything is falling tonight for the Wolfpack.
Kyle Washington, not normally a long-range jump shooter, as you pointed out earlier in the game. He's hit a couple tonight. And NC State dominating. Feeler taking it in against Anya and finds the bottom of the net. Good move from Feeler. A 25-point Wolfpack lead with under 8 minutes to play. Lewis going to bring it in. The defense kind of fell off him a little bit. I think they were anticipating him passing. But he gets fouled in the end, and he'll be at the free throw line when we come back to PNC Arena, where the Wolfpack are rolling over the Eagles. Wolfpack up 25. One of the big bright spots here in the second half for NC State has been B.J. Anya.
And he has, and so much of it created off of dribble penetration. You see Feeler, who was on Anya, has to come up to stop the penetration. Same thing with Hicks on that play. And what you're seeing, Sam, is the perimeter plays for NC State are living in the red, living in the lane, which is creating a lot of opportunities for the highly talented freshman from DeMatha.
I love the finish on those dunks. You really get to see that wingspan. He holds it up there for a while. Well, Tyler Lewis going to be at the free throw line, the sophomore point guard from Statesville, North Carolina. I know you know him, Dino.
As an 8th grader, he started for Forsyth Country Day, which is in Winston-Salem, and never ever passed the eye test. You know, he's like 5'4", 110 pounds, but could really play, has wonderful vision. When he was a sophomore, I think he jumped up to maybe 5'8", 130. He'd come to the gym and play with our guys at Wake Forest. At first, they didn't pick him in. But then when they saw how he passed the ball, he was challenged a little bit defensively, but incredible court vision, heady point guard, gets the ball where it needs to be.
And he's scoring some this year. He's just under 10 points a game. So you can't play off him all the time.
No, but the good thing about Tyler Lewis, he plays to his strengths.
Graff kicks it out. Jones swings it to Thompson. And a rebound by Washington. Ambitious pass there, picked off by Comer.
And you saw 3 defenders from Florida Gulf Coast back on that possession. And
Washington says, not in my house, as he denies the layup. But it is the 4th foul on Washington.
And I like the play by Jones. Take the ball strong to the rim. make him foul you, and he did. But what you saw, Sam, on the last possession where the ball was stolen, 3 guys in the blue shirts on the defensive side of midcourt making sure they're back to take away the break for NC State.
4 subs coming in for NC State, and these 4 getting a nice hand from the fans here in PNC Arena. Wolfpack were 16-1 here last year. As Jones on the line, misses that one. Feeler with the offensive board. And Feeler gets clipped on the arm. Fouls on Desmond Lee.
Chase Feeler's brother, Jake, at Fort Union, and a very good football player, visiting Penn State this weekend. Going to make a decision between Penn State, Ohio University, and the Cincinnati Bearcats. But offensive lineman, plays a little bit of fullback. His brother gives him a little bit of that girth.
Yeah, that's
helped Chase a little bit on the interior.
I'm still amazed at what you told me about the growth spurt he had.
Talking to the folks at Parkersburg South, where he was a wonderful player. Started out 5'9", was a point guard his freshman year, and then had a great skill set, could handle, can shoot. And when he grew to 6'7 and a half, 6'8", he kept that skill set as part of his game.
72-48, NC State in front. More than making up for a bad memory of a loss last week against North Carolina Central. That was in overtime here in Raleigh. Of course, that's a huge game for North Carolina Central to beat the Wolfpack, crosstown rival. Turner gets fouled on the way to the basket.
On those tight curls where Turner just came around the free throw area, the guy setting the screen, the defender on him, has to help to take away that curl action.
Foul on Thompson. Turner at the free throw line, misses the first one.
I called 2 or 3 of his games when he was at LSU, Sam. As you're seeing, as part of his NC State offensive repertoire, wonderful three-point shooter, averaged 10.5 a game down there.
And on the season, 95.
Yeah, and on the season thus far, 42% from 3 coming into this game.
95 three-pointers in 2 seasons at LSU. Feeler gets pushed from behind, that time by Turner. Turner's momentum carried him forward. Not a popular call here, but I don't think he meant to do it, but he clearly affected the play.
And I really like what Joe Dooley did when he was able to get the job. He said Andy Enfield and his staff did a really good job of not just getting good players, but recruiting good people. And when you take over for someone, that's what you should do. He showed a lot of class. Joe Dooley kept 3 of Andy Enfield's staff members to keep things intact here.
Well, it is a hugely popular event to go to those basketball games down in South Florida. They have already had 4,000 people crowds. The last game they had standing room only. They had to turn people away. It's a hot ticket down in Fort Myers. Thompson,
and
another foul.
The fans were unhappy, but I think it was a good call. Anytime that big guy, and he didn't need to, comes down with his arms, it's a foul.
12 team fouls on the Wolfpack in this half, only 4 called on Florida Gulf Coast. And Thompson makes that one.
And when you're recruiting, the biggest factor in your recruiting is your players. They have to sell your program. And Brett Comer was saying to me today, he says, when guys come, coach, we tell them you have to come to this school. You can't say no. You have a beach on campus. The school looks like a resort. It looks like one of those Sandals commercials that you see.
Yeah, one of my best friend's daughters goes there, and he could not believe the amenities they have.
It's unbelievable. Try to tell my wife I need to go back to the 2nd degree.
Warren, a little leaner in the lane, gets it. And Warren just keeps pouring it on. TJ Warren 28 points now.
And just a rebound away from a double-double for TJ.
His career high 31 points. Feeler working inside, gets the shot. 75-54, a 21-point Wolfpack lead with 5 minutes to play.
And a wonderful turnaround jump hook from Feeler. And what you like about it from a coaching perspective, he lets the ball go high. Like if you look at a clock, he lets it go at 12 o'clock.
Freeman is fouled by Feeler. And Feeler in foul trouble. That's his 4th.
Difficult assignment on those high-low passes that NC State has utilized. If you're going to front the post, you have to have good ball pressure. And Joe Dooley runs the same offense that Kansas, that high-low action that he got from Coach Self. And this team, the Eagles of Florida Gulf Coast, can do a lot of damage in the Atlantic Sun this year.
Again, this is the same Florida Gulf Coast program that made the Sweet 16 last year. Beat Georgetown and San Diego State, which were the same 2 teams that NC State beat a year earlier to get to the Sweet 16. That's some Twilight Zone trivia for you there.
Little Cliff Clavin stuff there.
Yeah.
But that guy right there has done a marvelous job taking over this program. And give him credit. He talked about the guys that have graduated and left the program. When Mark came in, he did like Joe Dooley did. They gave a lot of credit to his predecessor. Sidney Lowe did a wonderful job of recruiting guys, and Mark's just taking it to the next level.
Feeler. That ball finally comes off, and a nice offensive rebound that time by Zavichinen. Turner wrestles it away. And the fans wanted a foul.
I'm the ultimate optimist as a coach. If Florida Gulf Coast could just whittle this thing down to maybe a 10-point deficit, where somehow they could get.
Wow.
Not like that.
Oh, well, we told you he was lightning quick. Cat Barber. 22-point lead for the Wolfpack. Missed 3. Barber will bring it up. And nice D by Feeler, but it goes right to Barber.
Like everything this evening has been going the Wolfpack way. Bad decision from the freshman point guard, but was able to recover. Throw it in there to the big guy.
Freeman posting up, doesn't finish.
I like the move, though. He got all the way to the restricted area arc. That's where you want your big guy taking the ball on penetration.
Three-pointer is buried by Jamel Jones. But NC State firmly in control of this one. And we got a foul inside. That's going to go against the Wolfpack. Cat Barber, he's been very cat-like tonight. He's all over the place. And the Wolfpack up big with 3 minutes to play. Back in Raleigh, NC State up 77-58 with 3:02 left to play. On a good night to be at a basketball game as a storm system passing by outside. You never know it in here. Wolfpack surprise you at all tonight, Dino, especially after that week last week?
I did their game against Campbell, and they looked nothing like this. But they look very impressive tonight on the defensive end of the floor. The break is much better. Vandenberg has been superb. Cat Barber doing a lot with dribble penetration. Impressive tonight.
Under 3 minutes to play, and NC State setting up the half-court offense now.
Looking for the high-low again, and Fiedler did a good job of fronting BJ on it.
Shot clock under 10. Uh-oh, stolen away by Graff, good D. Comer to Fiedler, Fiedler with a jam.
There's a little bit of that Dunk City we were looking for.
Haven't quite seen the Dunk City tonight.
We have not. I think those people down at Fort Myers will see a little more of that this season.
Comer assisted on 66 of the 148 dunks they had last year as a team. And that was the big storyline for the Eagles in the NCAA tournament.
Comer's averaged 10.3 assists in the 3 NCAA tournament games last year.
Wolfpack milking that clock on each possession now. Warren bobbles it, gets it back, and buries it. Under 2 minutes to play, and knocked away. Warren got his hand on it, and the Wolfpack will walk it up the floor for one of the few times tonight and clear the bench. Let's go back to that play.
Yeah, trying to do a little too much, Cat Barber. And Comer, nice look away. Pretty good spacing by Florida Gulf Coast. That pass to that trail guy concerns me a little bit for the reason you just saw, Sam. Guy stepping in for a charge.
Well, NC State emptying the bench right now. Stott's battle with the shot. Here's Wallace. He'll put in the three. Patrick Wallace from Charlotte, North Carolina, a freshman.
4 for 5 this season from the three-point line. He's the guy that hit that deep corner three to send the Central game into overtime.
And comes off the bench with under 2 minutes to play and hits another one here.
Myers Park High School in Charlotte.
Jumper no good. Rebound by Battle, and over the back is the Florida Gulf Coast player who snuck in Allen.
Gulf Coast turns around and has Iona their next game, a team that really gets out in transition and can score the basketball. 100 of Iona's 240 shots at three, so Joe Dooley's squad's going to have to get back in defense, guard the three-point line.
There's Stott's Battle, who is a great high school player here in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. Walked on to the team here. He's a good shooter. Spells his first name S-T-A-A-T-S. A lot of people think it's Stats, but it's Stotts. Final minute of play underway here, and NC State has looked more than good. And another foul on the Wolfpack with 34.5 seconds to play. The foul was on Giovanni Robinson. And it's going to put Blake at the free throw line, redshirt junior from Miami.
By far NC State's best performance of the season. They did it on both ends of the floor, controlled the backboard. Mark Gottfried has to be really pleased with his group tonight.
This could turn out to be a pretty good win. I mean, this is a team that very well could be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the season.
This is a very good basketball team. This will be a good RPI win at the end of the season if they're there. And Joe Dooley does a marvelous job of coaching these guys.
Ambitious three thrown up there by Chase Cannon. Final 15 seconds. Allen off the mark. And it's going to go with the Wolfpack. Final 10 seconds. NC State looking good at home.
The young guys still want to get shots up.
And Cannon's worthy of his name. State's going to go to 3-2 and have a winning record after a couple of losses this year to Central and Cincinnati. That is Cannon again.
I'm telling you, he got fouled on both of those shots, Sam, but they're not calling him right now. They're not going to send any